everyone, and welcome back to another video. My name is Juan Londoño. For those of you that are coming on for the first time, welcome. So for today, we have another Photo Philosophy Friday topic. And the topic is seeing through one eye. Today we're going to talk about how photography helps us see better by looking through the camera or the one eye of the lens. Many people refer to this as looking through the camera's eye. And the way that looking through the camera's eye helps us see better is because it narrows down our peripheral vision and it forces us to focus, to pay attention. Bernice Abbott once said a long time ago, photography helps people to see. And imagine all the way back then, when the camera was relatively new, already starting to think that way, picking up that camera enough times that even Mrs. Bernice started to realize the camera was helping her see better. Dorothea Lange, which many people are familiar with, many photographers are familiar with, had a similar comment back in her day as well. And so I don't butcher it, let me just pick up my little book here. So her quote says something like this: "A camera is a tool for learning how to see without a camera." Now, isn't that cool? A camera is a tool for learning how to see without a camera, without the tool. So basically she's saying it trains the eye. When we look through the camera or through the camera's eye, we're actually looking through the lens, which is a tube, as you know. And this tube has well-defined borders. Not really set by the tube itself, by the lens, but actually by the camera. It has well-defined edges, right? Our frame. Our eyes, on the other hand, have fuzzy edges or fuzzy borders, if you will. And that gives us the impression that there's more beyond those edges or that border. With the camera, we see those four edges and they're pretty clear. There's nothing beyond them. We look through the camera's eye, and everything that's outside of that, we don't care. We're capturing what's between those. To our mind's eye, there's nothing beyond that point. So how does the camera help us see? Well, we kind of touched on that, right? It focuses our attention on a specific subject or area. Even if the picture is blurry, we're still focused in that area. The picture's blurry after we take it, right? It's not because people might say, well, that picture came out blurry, so what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean anything. When you're looking through the camera and through the lens, it's as clear as it can be. Now, if it was out of focus, well, that's another issue, right? That's another video for another lesson. But think about it. How many times in our life have we walked past something, right? And later, a friend of ours that was with us, or maybe we drove by something, a friend of ours that was with us said, "Hey, did you see that, that thing, whatever it was? Did you see that blue car? Did you see that albino cow?" Whatever it is, right? Where we turn and say, "What are you talking about?" Because we basically were looking, but we weren't seeing. And we'll touch on that topic in a minute. But this is where it's driving us, right? This whole issue of, the camera helping us to see. It's not an issue. This point of the camera helping us to see better is that it's helping us to see. Forget see better. The camera is taking us from looking, which is what we do. Basically, we don't have something in front of our face. We're looking around. When we put that camera in front of our face, we go from looking to seeing. Big difference. Imagine that we were walking around New York City, for example, and we had a camera attached to our face the whole time. And one eye was looking through the lens and the other eye was shut. And I don't recommend you do this ever, especially if you're walking around in traffic with a lot of people. Not a good idea. This is just for an example, for a point I'm making. If we were doing that, you'd go from seeing all this congestion and traffic and taxis and Ubers and people and buildings, architecture, so much to look at. You go from that to whatever this camera was focused on, right? You might say that having a camera in your face as you're looking through it teaches us to focus on what's directly in front of us as opposed to around us. And this brings up more of what we just discussed a minute ago, which is the difference between seeing and looking. Many times, I personally have spent an entire day at a park looking, and I saw nothing. Now, how could that be? Well, my mind wasn't there. Maybe I was focused on, and I've talked about this in other videos, I was focused on the bills, the problems, work, whatever. And I was there, and I was looking around, well, but I never really saw anything worth taking a picture of. Till I really got home and thought about it a little and said, wow, I took 100 pictures today, and I spent 4 hours there, and I've been there for 2 hours, and I've taken 400 pictures. So maybe today wasn't a good day to go there. One way to become a better seer, I don't even know if that's a word, is to be aware of our surroundings. And a simple way to be more aware of our surroundings is just to look through a camera. Before I continue, it seems like it's never a good time to take a water break. We're taking a water break. Pause your video. If you don't have a little container of water next to you, please go get one. You can stop the video now. This was my advertised water break. You know, if water was a company, I'd be a millionaire. Anyway, back to the video. So we were just talking about if you want to become a better seer, again, I don't know if that's a word, you want to keep a camera in front of you, right? Walking around with a camera is very much like driving an automobile. Your sense of awareness gets heightened. In other words, you pay more attention. There's a very big difference of walking around, right? And kind of looking around and getting behind that driver's seat, behind that steering wheel, and on that driver's seat or in the driver's seat, and driving around. You're going to be paying a lot more attention because you're driving a 2-ton vehicle. There may be people around, maybe not, but you still don't want to hit anything with it. The interesting thing here is that, like driving a vehicle, holding a camera is also very limiting. There's a side to this that's limiting, right? If I'm on foot, I can walk through a garden, I can walk over a little wall, I can do a lot of things. If I'm in a car, you can blow that out of the window because it's not going to happen. You're not going to drive through somebody's garden, and you're certainly not going to drive over a wall, a small wall, right? You've got to maneuver around those things. You got to stay on the road. The same holds for the camera. If we're holding a camera, it's a little different than not holding one. When you're not holding one, we talked about this, right? Your vision is everywhere. You're looking everywhere. As soon as you put that camera up to your face, you're now seeing what's in front of you, right? So your vision becomes limited. But on the other hand, that's not a bad thing because it's teaching us to see, right? Our attention becomes more focused. And that's what we're talking about here, right? In order to see better, we have to be focused on what we're looking at. I'll tell you something a little personal. Now that I'm on my 27th or so video, it's time to, little by little, these things will come out with stories, right? And so I don't see through one of my eyes, my right eye. I'm blind. I lost it when I was a kid, a young little kid, a young boy. But I'll tell you what, I've won quite a few contests, photography contests, right? And I've won things like, Apple iPads and gift certificates, which were actually pretty nice amounts. And I'm very grateful for that. But I always felt, in a way, like I was cheating. Every time I walked away with a prize, I always felt like I had a slight advantage over other people. And it's because I always felt, since I was 11 and I started using a camera, I always felt like I had this little device in my hand that kind of was a lot like me. It only had one eye. And there's a lot more to that, believe it or not. As I got older and I started using a camera more, I would see people come back to the, to the computer, or even back in the film days, right? I would see them come back to their work displayed in front of them and make comments like, it's sad that I don't get to see on paper what I saw that day. It just never looks the same. And I'm listening to that thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. To me, it looks identical. Because you know what? I'm seeing through one eye. The camera has one eye. We don't have stereo. When you look through 2 eyes, I don't know if you realize this, you're seeing in stereo. There's depth. right? That's what adds depth. That other eye adds depth to what this one's seeing, and this one adds depth to what this one's seeing, and they help each other out. So when somebody throws you a pair of keys or a set of keys, your eyes are not only looking at this, but they're judging the distance, thank goodness, to the fact that you have two. When you have one, that becomes a problem, because people throw me sets of keys all the time, and I stick my hand out thinking, I've got this, and it either hits me in the face, or it falls way short of my hand, which, you know, it's just what it is, right? It never bothered me too much. I always tell people, don't throw things at me if you want them to be in good shape. Just hand them over to me. So I always felt like I had an advantage over people, because when I looked at a picture, when I looked at a photograph, it was beautiful. I was looking at exactly what I was seeing the day that I took it. So whether it's an advantage or not, I don't know. I don't recommend that you poke your eye out so you can go win a couple of photography contests. Not what I'm telling you. Please don't do that. If you want to look into that, you know, cover your eye maybe, put a patch on it, and go take some pictures and see if what you're looking at that day looks kind of like the pictures. You may come back with a headache. I warn you, because I've been like this for many years. And since I was a little boy, I don't know if you tried covering one eye and living one day with a patch on. I don't know if that would cause a problem. I don't want you to have any accidents. Please don't drive like that. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble here, okay? Approaching the end of this video, the whole point of this is kind of to say, use your camera more. If the camera is in fact a device, a tool, a machine, whatever you want to call it, a miracle that is helping us to see better, then maybe that's something we can do a little more of, right? If we have a cool partner that kind of doesn't mind, maybe we can even try one day as we're having a conversation with them, like after we just saw a movie at home or something like that, holding up the camera to our face and talking to them while we hold the camera. I guarantee you, you're going to be looking at their lips and their eyes and their facial features a lot more when you're holding up that camera than when you're just looking. How many times do you look at your phone? Do you look at the coffee table? Do you look at your drink? Do you look at what's happening on the TV? Do you look at your nails? Do you look at anything when somebody's talking to you in a room? You know what I mean, right? If you have a camera, even a wide-angle camera where there are other things around, that person's talking to you and they're sitting in front of you, you're going to focus more. Now, is everybody going to allow you to do that? No. And do you want to do that all the time? No. But it might be a good, fun exercise to do. Make sure you're not walking up and down stairs and you're not in dangerous areas. If you're out in the garden and there's a big area that you can do this in, you know, maybe just pick up the camera and see what you observe. If you're standing in the city waiting for somebody, you got your camera, put it up. Even if you don't have the intention of taking any pictures, you already took all the pictures you needed to take. I guarantee you, if you put that camera up, this is a side note, if you put that camera up to your face, you're going to see something you're going to want to photograph, especially if you're a photographer for a while. It's just going to happen. But assuming you don't want to photograph anything and that you don't hit that shutter button again, look through there for a little while. Look at those taxi cabs. Look at the person walking the street. That's why photographers we become decent at composing, right? Because we put that camera up quickly and we quickly adjust to the composition, but it happens in a fraction of a second and we take that picture, right? Many times when you're seeing that person crossing that street and you see that shadow and you see that bus in the background, we already know how we're composing that picture. It's just a matter of getting that camera up and shooting it, right? Pressing that button. We've already composed it in our mind in a fraction of a second. But if we haven't, we still can do it fairly quick because we're so used to looking through a camera and wondering what's the right thing to capture. Another fun exercise is if you find yourself in a really pretty area like a botanical garden or a city street, look around for a minute without the camera and then put it up to your face and then move it around. I've done this. It's a really cool feeling. When you're looking around, you're kind of like haphazardly looking around, just frantically in a way. You're looking around and yeah, okay, nothing stands out. It's the building, it's the cathedral, it's the same thing I've been looking at for 5 minutes standing here. The minute you put that camera up to your face, you're just looking at what's in front, what that camera's looking at, what that lens is looking at, what's coming through that lens. And as you move it, you're paying a lot more attention your awareness is ultra heightened by what you're looking at. You're actually seeing at that point. You're not just looking around, you're seeing through the lens, which is fantastic. And you can decide better what you're going to take a picture of than just looking around. I know you go, but wait a minute, does that make sense? Well, you don't want to have a telephoto lens on. It'll take you forever to find what you're going to photograph. But I'm talking about a 35 millimeter, for example, right? You get a nice broad view. You put that on and you're still clipping a portion of the scene, and you can decide like, ooh, the cathedral in part of this building looks better than the building in part of the cathedral, right? When you're looking like this, you see the cathedral, you see the building, you're not limited yet. So you haven't even thought that you could take a picture of the cathedral in half of the building because you're thinking the cathedral in the building. And that hasn't occurred to you yet. But you put that camera up and you got either the cathedral in half the building or the building in half the cathedral because you can't fit anything else in that frame. All of a sudden you have to make a decision, and you're seeing and you're thinking. Because when you look randomly, it doesn't come that easy. And that's just my opinion, by the way. Feel free to comment. Let me know if you agree or disagree, if you've found yourself in this situation and what you thought. So to conclude this video, I just wanted to say real quick, this exercise we just talked about, holding the camera up to your face, is a great way, a simple way of making us better photographers. But more importantly, it's a great way to make us better seers. I should have looked that word up between the previous clip and this clip. Or, as Dorothea Lange might have said, to help us see better without a camera. If you found this topic entertaining, I hope you did, or helpful in any way, please give me a like below, subscribe down here to your right, and don't forget the little notification bell so that you get notified. I will see you guys in the next video. From the bottom of my heart, as always, I'm grateful for your time. I love you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful day, have a wonderful evening, wherever you are in the world. Ciao for now.